The year was 2387, and the galaxy had never been more peaceful. But this peace came with a price written in blood and sealed with one simple rule that every alien race knew by heart: never harm a human child. This was not just a suggestion. It was the law, the only law that mattered among the stars. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of Colony 7, watching her 8-year-old daughter Emma play in the gardens below. The little girl was laughing with her friends, some human, some alien. A young Altarian boy with blue skin was teaching Emma how to make flowers glow with his natural abilities. Two Corvan twins with their furry ears were building sandcastles with human children. This was what peace looked like. This was what humanity had built. But Sarah did not know that in the dark corners of space, angry eyes were watching. The Zeltan Empire had been planning something terrible, something that would change everything. 20 years ago, humanity had been just another small race trying to survive in a dangerous galaxy. They had no great weapons. They had no mighty fleets. They were weak, or so everyone thought. But humans had something special. They had children who could learn any alien language in weeks. Children who could make friends with any creature, no matter how strange. Children who brought different races together with their innocent smiles and curious questions. The first peace treaty was signed when a human child named Tommy saved a Corvan general's son from drowning. The second came when twin sisters helped an Altarian queen find her lost pet. One by one, human children became bridges between hostile alien races. The galaxy noticed something amazing. Wherever human children went, wars stopped. Enemies became friends. Fear turned into understanding. Admiral Marcus Stone, the head of Earth Command, understood this power. He was a smart man with gray hair and tired eyes that had seen too much war. He knew that human children were not just the future of humanity, they were the future of galactic peace itself. So he created the sacred law. Every alien ambassador who came to Earth had to swear an oath. Every trade agreement included the same promise. Every peace treaty had the same rule written in golden letters. Human children are protected by all species. To harm one is to declare war on the entire galaxy. Most aliens thought this was fair. Human children had brought them peace, after all. The Corvan clans built special schools for human kids. The Altarians gave them gifts of glowing flowers. Even the proud Draconian Empire sent teachers to help human children learn about the stars. But the Zeltan Empire was different. Emperor Vexthran the Conqueror sat on his crystal throne, surrounded by his generals. His red eyes burned with anger as he watched the daily reports. Human colonies were growing. Human influence was spreading. Other races respected humans more than they respected the mighty Zeltan Empire. They are weak, the Emperor hissed to his war council. They have no real army. They have no battle fleets. Yet everyone treats them like kings because of their children. General Kavtar, the Emperor's most trusted commander, nodded in agreement. My lord, our spies report that most human military bases are actually research centers and schools. They spend more money on playgrounds than on plasma cannons. Emperor Vexthran stood up from his throne. His tall reptilian body cast a shadow over his generals. Then we will show the galaxy how foolish this sacred law really is. We will prove that humans are just another weak race hiding behind pretty words. Meanwhile, on Colony 7, Sarah Chen was putting her daughter to bed. Emma yawned and hugged her stuffed alien toy, a gift from her Altarian friend. Mommy, Emma said sleepily, why do all the alien kids' parents always smile at me? Sarah brushed Emma's hair gently. Because you represent something beautiful, sweetheart. You represent hope. Hope for what? Hope that different people can live together in peace. Emma nodded and closed her eyes. I like that, Mommy. I want everyone to be friends. Sarah kissed her daughter's forehead. If only she knew what was coming. If only she could see the dark ships moving through space, heading straight for Colony 7. In his war room aboard the flagship Death's Edge, General Kavtar studied the colony's layout on his holographic display. The school was clearly marked in red. The playgrounds, the daycare centers. Target the children first, he told his officers. Show the galaxy that this sacred law is meaningless. The Zeltan fleet emerged from hyperspace just as Colony 7's twin suns were setting. Their massive warships blocked out the stars like hungry monsters. Sarah Chen was in her command center when the alarm started screaming. Her blood turned to ice as she saw the alien ships on her screens. But these were not friends coming to visit. These were enemies, and they had come to break the only law that had kept the galaxy peaceful for 20 long years. The sacred law was about to be tested, and when it was broken, the galaxy would learn why humanity had made that law in the first place. The Zelthan warships hung in the sky above Colony 7 like dark storm clouds. Their massive hulls blocked out the stars, casting long shadows over the peaceful homes below. Captain Sarah Chen stood in her command center, her hands shaking as she stared at the enemy fleet on her screens. 23 Zelthan battleships. Her colony had no military defenses. They were scientists, teachers, and families, not soldiers. "Open a channel," she ordered her communications officer. The holographic display flickered to life, showing General Kavatar's reptilian face. His yellow eyes gleamed with cruel pleasure as he looked at the human captain. "I am General Kavatar of the Zelthan Empire," he said with a cold smile. "You will surrender your colony immediately." Sarah stepped forward, her voice steady despite her fear. "This colony is under the protection of the sacred law. We are civilians. We have children here." Kavatar laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. "Your sacred law means nothing to us, human. Today, the galaxy will learn that the Zelthan Empire bows to no one." The communication ended with a sharp click. Sarah's mind raced. She had to protect her people, especially the children. There were over 300 human kids on Colony 7, plus dozens of young aliens who lived there with their families. "Send an emergency signal to Earth Command," she ordered. "Tell them we need immediate help." "Already sent, Captain," her officer replied, "but the nearest human fleet is 6 hours away." 6 hours. Sarah's heart sank. They did not have 6 hours. Meanwhile, in the colony's main school, Emma Chen was in her morning class with 30 other children. Her teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, was reading them a story about friendship between humans and aliens. The children sat in a circle, their faces bright with wonder. Emma raised her small hand. "Mrs. Rodriguez, why do some aliens have different colored skin?" "Because diversity makes us stronger, Emma," the teacher smiled. "Just like how different flowers make a garden more beautiful." A young Corvan girl with furry ears giggled. "I think Emma's hair is pretty. It shines like gold." The children laughed and continued their lesson, completely unaware of the danger above them. They did not know that dark ships were preparing to rain fire from the sky. Back in space, General Kavatar stood on the bridge of his flagship. His officers waited for orders, their clawed hands hovering over weapon controls. "My lord," one officer asked, "shall we target their military facilities first?" Kavatar's eyes narrowed. "No, we target the school. Kill their children first. Show the galaxy that humans are not special. Show them that their sacred law is just words." Even some of his own officers looked uncomfortable. The Zelthans were proud warriors, but attacking children was not honorable, even for them. "Sir," a young officer spoke carefully, "the sacred law exists for a reason. If we break it—" "Silence!" Kavatar roared. "The Emperor has given his orders. We will show these weak humans what real power looks like." On Colony 7, emergency alarms began screaming across the settlement. Sarah Chen's voice echoed through every speaker. "All civilians report to emergency shelters immediately. This is not a drill." Parents grabbed their children and ran toward the underground bunkers. Teachers led their students in calm lines, just like they had practiced in safety drills. But everyone could feel the fear in the air. Emma held her teacher's hand tightly as they walked toward the shelter. "Mrs. Rodriguez, why are the ships here? Did we do something wrong?" The teacher's heart broke at the innocent question. "No, sweetie, you did nothing wrong. Some people just make bad choices." High above, the Zelthan weapon systems locked onto the school building. Targeting computers calculated the exact spot where the most children would be caught in the explosion. Sarah Chen watched helplessly from her command center as the enemy ships powered up their main guns. She knew she could not stop them. Her small security force had only basic weapons, nothing that could hurt a battleship. "All children to the deepest shelters," she screamed into her communicator. But she knew it would not be enough. In space, Admiral Marcus Stone sat in his office on Earth, staring at the emergency message from Colony 7. His weathered face was stone cold as he read the report. "Sir," his aide said quietly, "Colony 7 reports Zeltan ships are targeting civilian areas." Admiral Stone stood up slowly. His gray eyes were like winter ice. "How many children on that colony?" 312 human children, sir, plus 47 young aliens." Stone walked to his window and looked out at the stars. For 20 years, the sacred law had kept peace in the galaxy. Every alien race had respected it. Every treaty had honored it. Until now. "Send a message to all fleet commanders," Stone said in a voice as cold as deep space. "Activate Protocol 0. His aide's face went pale. "Sir, Protocol 0 has never been used. Are you sure?" "They are about to kill our children," Stone said, turning around. His eyes burned with a fury that few had ever seen. "Send the message." Back on Colony 7, the first Zelthan plasma beams lit up the sky. They struck the school building with terrible force, turning the peaceful classroom where Emma had been learning about friendship into a burning ruin. The shockwave knocked Sarah Chen to her knees. Through her tears, she could hear the screams. Children crying, parents calling out names, the sound of innocence being destroyed. Emma's small voice came through her communicator, weak but alive. "Mommy, it hurts." Sarah ran toward the destroyed school, her heart breaking with every step. She found her daughter trapped under fallen debris, her little body broken but her spirit still fighting. "Mommy's here, baby," Sarah whispered, holding Emma close. "Help is coming." But Emma's breathing was getting weaker. Her golden hair was covered in dust and blood. "Mommy," she whispered, "tell the alien kids I still want to be friends." Those were Emma's last words. As Sarah Chen held her dead daughter in her arms, something changed in the galaxy. Every human colony received the same message. Every human ship got the same orders. The sacred law had been broken. And now humanity would show the galaxy why they had made that law in the first place. In the depths of space, hidden human fleets that had slept for decades began to wake up. Weapons that had never been used started powering up. And in the eyes of every human soldier, the same cold fire began to burn. The Zelthans had wanted to see human military power. They were about to get their wish. The galaxy held its breath. News of Colony 7 spread like wildfire through every space station, every alien homeworld, every trading post from the outer rim to the galactic core. The sacred law had been broken. Human children were dead, and nobody knew what would happen next. On the water world of Aquatica Prime, the Corvin Council gathered in emergency session. Elder Thaxrun, oldest of their kind, spoke with a trembling voice. "In 40 years of peace, no one has ever dared to harm a human child. The Zeltans have awakened something terrible." On the crystal cities of Altaria, Queen Zephyra watched the news broadcasts with growing fear. Her blue skin had turned pale as ice. "Send word to all our colonies," she ordered. "Stay away from Zeltan space. Stay far away." But the Zeltans were celebrating. Emperor Vexthran laughed from his crystal throne as General Kavtar knelt before him. "You have done well, my general." The humans sent only words of protest, empty threats. "They are even weaker than we thought." Kavatar smiled with cruel satisfaction. "Their colonies are defenseless, my emperor. We could conquer them all within a month." Neither of them noticed that no human ship had come to Colony 7, no rescue fleet, no angry demands for war, just silence. That silence should have scared them. Deep in the hidden sectors of space, where no alien had ever traveled, massive structures began to move. Space stations the size of moons powered up for the first time in 20 years. Shipyards that had been sleeping in the darkness started building vessels of war. Admiral Marcus Stone stood in the command center of Bastion 7, humanity's most secret military base. Around him, hundreds of officers worked at control panels that had not been used since the last Great War. "Status report," Stone said, his voice cold as winter. Commander Sarah Chen stepped forward. She had survived the attack on Colony 7, but her eyes now burned with the same cold fire as her admiral's. The gentle mother was gone. In her place stood a weapon of vengeance. "All Ghost fleets are awakened and ready, sir," she reported. "Stealth Fleet Alpha has 12 Dreadnought-class battleships. Beta Fleet has 30 destroyer squadrons. Gamma Fleet," she paused, her voice growing harder. "Gamma Fleet has the Planet Killers." Stone nodded slowly. "And our special forces?" "The shadow units are already moving, sir. They have been hunting Zelthan outposts for the past 6 hours." Around the galaxy, Zelthan colonies were starting to report strange problems. Communications went dark. Supply ships disappeared. Mining stations stopped responding to calls. But the Zelthan Empire was too proud to notice. They thought they were winning. Major Alex Rodriguez had been Sarah Chen's neighbor on Colony 7. His daughter Maria had been Emma's best friend. Now he floated in the darkness of space, wearing advanced stealth armor that made him invisible to sensors. Behind him, 9 other human soldiers moved like ghosts toward Zelthan Mining Station Alpha 9. They had no flags, no identification, no mercy. "Remember," Rodriguez whispered into his comm, "they killed our children. Show them what happens when you break the sacred law." The Zelthans on the mining station never saw them coming. Security cameras showed empty corridors one moment, then dead guards the next. Alarms screamed warnings about invisible attackers. The station commander, a proud Zelthan warrior named HFY, grabbed his plasma rifle and ran toward the main control room. He found Major Rodriguez waiting for him. "You," HFY snarled, raising his weapon. "Cowardly human. Why do you hide like a ghost?" Rodriguez removed his helmet, showing his scarred face and cold eyes. "Because ghosts are what dead children become. And you killed our children." The fight was over in seconds. As the mining station exploded behind them, Rodriguez and his team disappeared back into space. Another Zelthan outpost had learned the price of breaking humanity's law, but this was just the beginning. On the trading world of Nexus Station, alien merchants watched their screens in growing terror. Zelthan ships were being destroyed faster than anyone could count. Military bases, supply depots, patrol fleets, all gone. "How?" whispered a draconian trader to his Corvan friend. "The humans have no military. Everyone knows this." The Corvan's ears twitched nervously. Maybe we never really knew the humans at all." They were right. For 20 years, humanity had pretended to be peaceful farmers and scientists. They had built schools instead of battleships. They had sent teachers instead of soldiers. They had made friends instead of weapons. But they had never forgotten how to make war. Admiral Stone stood before a holographic map of the galaxy. Red dots showed Zelthan positions. Blue dots showed human ghost fleets moving toward their targets. "The Zelthans wanted to see our true power," he said to his commanders. "They wanted to test our resolve. They thought we were weak because we chose peace." His gray eyes burned with cold fire. They were wrong. Captain Sarah Chen stepped up beside him. Her daughter's stuffed alien toy was clipped to her belt, a reminder of what they were fighting for. "Admiral," she said quietly, "the Ghost Fleets report they are in position around 17 Zelthan worlds. Stealth units have eliminated 43 outposts. We have lost 0 ships and 0 soldiers." Stone nodded. "And the Zelthan homeworld?" "Our scouts report Emperor Vexthran is still celebrating his victory over Colony 7. He has no idea we're coming." Around the galaxy, other alien races began to understand. The humans had not been weak. They had been careful. They had built their entire civilization around protecting their children because they knew that children were the future. And when someone killed their future, humans became something else entirely. On the peaceful world of Harmony Prime, a Corvan mother held her own child close as she watched the news. "The humans are not coming to save us," she whispered. "They are coming to save their children, and anyone who hurt those children will pay." In the depths of space, the human war machine moved like a silent storm. No mercy, no prisoners, no second chances. The Zelthan Empire had broken the sacred law. Now they would learn why that law existed. Emperor Vexithron sat on his crystal throne, completely unaware that human ships were already moving through his empire's space like death itself. He thought he had won a great victory. He had no idea that the real war was just beginning, and when it ended, the galaxy would remember why no one should ever harm a human child. The Zelthan homeworld had never seen an enemy fleet in its skies. For 1,000 years, Zethmar Prime had been the beating heart of a mighty empire. Its red crystal city stretched across 3 continents. Its orbital defense platforms could destroy entire fleets. Its proud warriors had conquered dozens of worlds. But today, something impossible was happening. Human ships were materializing out of empty space. Emperor Vexithron stood on his palace balcony, his red eyes wide with shock as he watched the sky fill with enemy vessels. Massive battleships appeared like ghosts becoming real. Smaller destroyers swarmed around them like angry hornets. "How?" he whispered. "How did they get past our defenses?" His answer came in the form of explosions. The orbital defense stations that had protected his world for centuries were already burning. They had been destroyed from within by human soldiers who had been invisible, untouchable, unstoppable. General Kavtar ran onto the balcony, his scales pale with fear. "My Emperor, our entire outer fleet is gone. They destroyed 60 ships in 10 minutes. Impossible!" Vexithron snarled. "The humans have no military. We checked their colonies, nothing but schools and farms. They lied to us," Kavtar said, his voice breaking. "They lied to the entire galaxy." Admiral Marcus Stone stood on the bridge of the human flagship Emma's Revenge, watching the Zelthan homeworld grow larger on his screens. The ship was named after the first child to die when the sacred law was broken. Every human vessel in the fleet carried the name of a murdered child. "Status report," Stone said calmly. "All orbital defenses eliminated, sir," reported his tactical officer. "Stealth teams have secured landing zones. The Zelthan military is in full retreat." Captain Sarah Chen stepped up beside the Admiral. She wore full combat armor now, painted black like her heart. Emma's stuffed alien toy still hung from her belt, a reminder of what they were fighting for. "Permission to lead the ground assault, sir," she said. Stone looked at her carefully. "Sarah, you don't have to do this. Let someone else." "They killed my daughter," she interrupted, her voice cold as space. "This is personal." Stone nodded slowly. "Take Alpha Company. Find General Kavtar. Make him pay." As human dropships descended toward the Crystal Palace, the galaxy watched in stunned silence. News broadcast from a dozen worlds showed the same impossible sight. Humans, the peaceful farmers and teachers, were conquering the mighty Zelthan Empire in less than a day. On Corvan Prime, Elder Thaxrun spoke to his people. "We thought we knew humanity. We were wrong. They are not farmers who learned to fight. They are warriors who chose to farm." Sarah Chen's boots hit Zelthan crystal as her dropship landed in the palace courtyard. Around her, human marines spread out with military precision that spoke of years of training. They moved like they had done this 1,000 times before, because they had. Every human colony had been a military base in disguise. Every farmer had been a soldier in hiding. Every teacher had been a warrior waiting for war. The Zelthan Palace guards tried to make a stand, but they had never faced humans in battle. They expected honor duels and formal combat. Instead, they got tactical strikes and coordinated attacks that left them confused and defeated. Sarah led her team through corridors filled with crystal art and golden statues. This place was beautiful, but it was built on the blood of conquered worlds. Today, that debt would be paid. She found General Kavtar in the war room, trying to coordinate his collapsing defenses. He turned as she entered, his yellow eyes blazing with desperate fury. "You," he hissed, raising his plasma sword. "I should have killed more of your spawn when I had the chance." Sarah drew her own weapon, a simple human combat blade. "You killed my daughter. Her name was Emma. She was 8 years old. She liked making friends with alien children." Weak human sentiment. Kavtar roared, charging forward. The fight was brutal but short. Kavtar was a skilled warrior, but Sarah was fighting for more than victory. She was fighting for justice. She was fighting for memory. She was fighting for love. When it ended, Kavtar lay bleeding on his crystal floor. Sarah knelt beside him, her blade at his throat. Emma's last words were about wanting to be friends with alien kids, she said quietly. She died still believing in peace. You taught me that some people don't deserve peace. Meanwhile, Emperor Vexthran had barricaded himself in his throne room with his remaining guards. The massive crystal doors were sealed, but Sarah Chen and her marines were already cutting through them with military-grade plasma torches. Send a message to the galaxy. The Emperor screamed at his communications officer. Tell them the humans are monsters. Tell them. The crystal doors exploded inward. Sarah Chen stepped through the smoke and debris, her armor blackened with battle but her eyes burning with cold fire. Behind her came a squad of human marines whose faces showed the same terrible determination. Emperor Vexthran, Sarah said, her voice echoing in the crystal chamber. You ordered the death of innocent children. You broke the sacred law that kept peace in the galaxy. The Emperor's guards raised their weapons, but Sarah's marines were faster. The brief firefight ended with Zelthan bodies on the crystal floor and humans standing victorious. Vexthran stood alone before his crystal throne, his red scales trembling with fear and rage. You cannot do this. I am an emperor. I rule 100 worlds. You ruled, Sarah corrected. Past tense. She raised her weapon and the emperor finally understood. The humans had not come to conquer his empire. They had come to end it, to make sure that no one would ever again think it was acceptable to kill human children. Wait, he begged. I can pay you. I can give you worlds. Emma was 3 feet tall, Sarah said quietly. She had blonde hair and green eyes. She loved stories about friendship. She died because you wanted to prove humans were weak. The Emperor's voice became a desperate whisper. Please, the galaxy is watching, Sarah continued. Every alien race, every government, every civilization. They need to understand what happens when someone breaks humanity's sacred law. She looked directly into his terrified eyes. You killed our children. Now face the consequences. What happened next sent a message that would echo across the galaxy for generations. The mighty Zelthan Empire, conqueror of 100 worlds, was gone. In its place stood a warning that every alien race would remember, never, ever harm a human child. As Sarah Chen stood in the ruins of the Crystal Palace, she touched Emma's toy on her belt and whispered, Justice, baby girl. Mommy got justice, but this was not the end of the story. It was the beginning of a new galaxy, one where everyone would remember the price of breaking humanity's one sacred law. Part 5. The New Order. 6 months later, the galaxy was a very different place. Where the mighty Zelthan Empire had once ruled 100 worlds, now there was only empty space and memorial gardens. Every former Zelthan planet had been transformed into something new. Parks where children could play safely, schools where different races learned together, and monuments that reminded everyone of the price of breaking the sacred law. The Crystal Palace of Emperor Vexthran had become a museum. Visitors from across the galaxy came to see the throne room where humanity's justice had been delivered. Above the empty throne, words were carved in every alien language. Here fell those who harmed the innocent. Let all remember, Captain Sarah. Chen stood in the memorial garden that had once been Colony 7. Her daughter Emma's name was carved in golden letters on a wall filled with the names of children who had died that terrible day. But Emma was not forgotten. None of them were. Beside Emma's name, alien children had left gifts. Glowing flowers from Altarian kids, crystal sculptures from young Corvan artists, friendship bracelets from Draconian children who had learned about Emma in their history classes. They remember you, baby girl, Sarah whispered, touching her daughter's name. The whole galaxy remembers. Behind her, Admiral Marcus Stone approached quietly. His gray hair had gotten grayer in the past months, but his eyes were no longer cold. The fire of war had been replaced with something warmer. Hope. The council meeting went well, he told Sarah. Every major race has signed the new treaty. Sarah turned to face her old commander. She no longer wore combat armor. Instead, she wore the uniform of the new Galactic Protection Service, humanity's gift to the galaxy. What did they agree to? She asked. Stone smiled, the first real smile Sarah had seen from him in months. Everything. The enhanced sacred law is now universal. Any species that harms children of any race will face immediate action. Not just human children, all children. This was humanity's true victory. They had not conquered the galaxy. They had made it safer for everyone. On Corvan Prime, Elder Thaxrun spoke to a gathering of youngsters, both Corvan and human children sitting together in a circle. Long ago, he said in his gentle voice, some bad people thought it was acceptable to hurt children. But the humans showed us that children are precious gifts that must be protected by everyone. A small human boy raised his hand. Elder Thaxrun, why did the humans fight so hard for us alien kids too? The old Corvan's eyes twinkled with wisdom. Because, little one, humans understand something special. They know that hurting any child hurts the future itself. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on dozens of worlds. Human teachers worked alongside alien educators. Human children played with young beings from 100 different species. The peace that Emma Chen had dreamed of was finally real. But the galaxy had also learned to respect humanity's hidden strength. On the trading station Nexus Prime, alien merchants spoke in hushed voices about the human mystery. How had a race of peaceful farmers and scientists hidden such tremendous military power? How had they fooled everyone for 20 years? A wise old draconian trader had the answer. They did not fool us. We fooled ourselves. We saw their gentleness and thought it was weakness. We saw their love for children and thought it was softness. We never understood that the strongest warriors are those who choose peace. In the depths of space, human military bases still operated in secret. The ghost fleets patrolled the darkness between stars, but they were no longer weapons of war. They were guardians of peace. Sarah Chen had accepted a new position as Director of Child Protection Services for the entire galaxy. Her headquarters was on New Harmony, a beautiful world where children from every species learned and played together. On her office wall hung a picture of Emma, surrounded by drawings that alien children had made in her memory. The little girl who had died believing in friendship had become a symbol of hope for the entire galaxy. One day, Sarah was visited by an unusual guest. A young Zelthan female named Zarathin knocked nervously on her office door. She was one of the few surviving members of her species, raised now in human foster care. Director Chen, she said quietly, her voice trembling, I wanted to apologize for what my people did to your daughter. Sarah looked at the young alien, barely 13 years old, with scales that had lost their proud red color and now shone with humble silver. This child had nothing to do with the war, but she carried the guilt of her entire species. Zarathin, Sarah said gently, kneeling down to the girl's level. You have nothing to apologize for. You were just a child when it happened. But my people, your people made a terrible mistake, Sarah interrupted. But you are not responsible for their choices. You are only responsible for your own. The young Zelthan's eyes filled with tears. I want to make up for what they did. I want to help protect children like your Emma did. Sarah smiled, the same warm smile she had once given her own daughter. Emma would have liked that. She always believed that friendship was possible, even with people who seemed different. As Zarathin left her office, Sarah realized that this was Emma's true victory. Not the destruction of an empire, but the creation of understanding. The little girl who had died wanting to be friends with alien children had inspired a galaxy-wide commitment to protecting all children. Years passed, and the galaxy continued to change. The enhanced sacred law was never broken again, not because people feared human military power, though they did, but because they had learned to value what humans valued, the innocence and potential of every child. On the anniversary of Colony 7's destruction, Sarah Chen returned to the memorial garden. She was older now, her hair touched with silver, but her purpose was unchanged. She knelt beside Emma's name and placed fresh flowers, the same glowing Altarian blooms that Emma had loved as a child. The galaxy is safe now, sweetheart, she whispered. Children of every species play together without fear. They learn about kindness and friendship just like you wanted. Above her, ships from dozens of worlds passed through the sky in peaceful formation. Human vessels flew alongside Corvan explorers, Altarian research ships, and even new vessels built by the reformed survivors of the Zeltan race. The sacred law lived on, stronger than ever. Not written in treaties or enforced by weapons, but carved into the hearts of every parent in the galaxy. Children are the future. They must be protected. They must be cherished. They must never be harmed. And in schools across 1,000 worlds, teachers told the same story to wide-eyed children. They spoke of a little girl named Emma who believed in friendship, and of her mother who showed the galaxy that love is the strongest force in the universe. The children always asked the same question: will anyone ever break the sacred law again? And the teachers always gave the same answer: not while there are humans in the galaxy. They remember Emma. They will always remember. The galaxy had learned its lesson well. Never ever harm a human child, or any child at all.